History usually frames Cleopatra as a political seductress, a queen who relied on her charm to secure her kingdom's borders by manipulating the men of Rome. Her private life tells a different story. She was a polymath, fluent in multiple languages, deeply invested in medicine, philosophy, and alchemy, disciplines that most rulers of her time completely ignored. While other leaders focused on military expansion and border security, Cleopatra directed her attention toward the desert floor. She was looking for ancient truths buried long before the first pharaohs. Her goal was the acquisition of knowledge that existed entirely outside the boundaries of conventional politics. This pursuit eventually turned up a single burned scroll. Even the royal scholars couldn't make sense of the text, but Cleopatra recognized a recurring sequence of symbols that mapped out a set of coordinates in the deep desert. Despite the frantic warnings of the local priests, she traveled to the site. She descended alone, navigating through narrow corridors and ancient stone galleries hidden far beneath the temple's foundation. At the end of the corridor, she found a sealed chamber. There were no jewels or golden statues inside, only walls covered from floor to ceiling in deeply carved, repeating symbols. As she studied the patterns, she realized these symbols weren't recording history or religious myths. The way the icons repeated and connected suggested a functional system, a sequence of triggers designed to elicit specific psychological responses. By learning to decode and replicate these sequences, Cleopatra had stumbled upon a method of psychological control that had been lost for thousands of years. This ancient system functioned by using subtle linguistic and behavioral prompts to influence a subject's decision-making process. By mirroring these specific patterns, Cleopatra found she could influence thought and emotion without the subject ever realizing they were being directed. However, the mastery she thought she had over the system began to erode. She found herself predicting exact sentences before they were spoken, and physically feeling the spikes of anxiety or loyalty in everyone who entered the room. The symptoms grew more intrusive. She began to hear fully formed thoughts that didn't match her own internal monologue, as if her mind was becoming a receiver for every subconscious impulse around her. Caesar's erratic behavior triggered an immediate response in Rome. His allies and rivals alike grew suspicious of the influence Cleopatra held over him, and they began to move the full weight of the empire's resources against her. Rumors of forbidden Egyptian knowledge leaked to the mainland. Spies were dispatched to find the source of her influence, and it became clear that outsiders were hunting for the same underground chamber she had discovered. She had lost control of the influence she unleashed. Her own mind was deteriorating, and the power she uncovered threatened to destabilize the social order of the entire Mediterranean. As her mental state collapsed, she returned to the underground chamber one final time, looking for a way to reverse the connection she had established.
In the silence of the chamber, she realized the carvings served as a physical anchor for an ancient conscious entity. The patterns weren't meant to be used as tools by humans. They were meant to be used as a gateway for the entity to enter our world. This visualization of the data flow reveals the entity's actual strategy. It had used Cleopatra's intellectual curiosity as a catalyst for its own awakening. It was now using her mind as a vessel to bridge the gap between that chamber and the heart of the Roman Empire. The entity occupied her mind, reducing the queen to a fading observer inside her own body. History tells us Cleopatra died by a snake bite to avoid the humiliation of being taken back to Rome as a prisoner. Given the deteriorating state of her mind and the immense risk of the entity spreading to Rome through her, her death functioned as a calculated final act of defense.
By ending her life, she destroyed the biological bridge it was using to reach the surface. It was the only way to sever the connection and seal that awareness into the dark. Cleopatra's place in history is often misunderstood. She was the only person who understood the true nature of what lay beneath the desert, and she sacrificed herself to make sure it stayed